What's up, everybody? It's me, Happy Girl Just Vibing, and today we're going to talk about setting up a notebook. So this will be my first official video with advice and stuff, and so I'm really excited about it. So this is my notebook. I'll be using it as a reference, and hopefully it will help you guys, feel comfortable when you set up your own notebook, because I think everybody should have one, whether it's a hard copy or digital. And a lot of people, when you get that fresh new book, you're like, oh, what do I do with this? So here we go. The first step, the first thing that you absolutely have to do is gather the materials, because you can't write if you don't have anything to write in or write with. So I think having a hard copy is extremely important, because you can write things down on your phone, you can write it in sticky notes and then glue them in later. Sometimes you don't always have access to your phone, or you don't always have access to your notebook, so you can put in little scraps and then glue them back in, or write down something in your phone because you don't have your notebook, and then write it in here when you get to it. So I think having something that you can carry around that's an easy size that you can take with you everywhere is great. This one is like 8x6 and almost $5, so that's what I use, but just find a comfortable size. For me, this is my comfortable size. Anything smaller or bigger just doesn't feel right. And then you want different colored pens. The reason for this is because if you look at this page, you can see different colors going on, and each different color signifies either a different date or a different idea. So like one of them is like, hey, this is this idea. One of them is like, oh, what about if you did this for a story? And I do this for pretty much every page in my notebook. So it's kind of nice to have it. It's very aesthetically pleasing also, because if you have all black ink, that's no fun, but if you have colors, then it's a lot more fun, as well as easier to read, because you can see where things change instead of, everything in one font or color or whatever. And then, of course, you'll need inspiration to fill out your notebook, so you can either wait for it to hit or just dive right on in. After that, you want to decorate. This is very important, because this is what makes your notebook your notebook. I use a lot of stickers, but honestly, you can do whatever you want. You can Mod Podge it, paint it, duct tape it, collage it. There's a ton of ideas on Pinterest, so go ahead, look on Pinterest, or if you have an idea, just dive right in and go to it. This step is one of my most favorites, so I'm covering this up, but I have my personal details in right on this side, on top of my avocado. This way, and then on this side of the page, I have like a little note that says basically, hey, I've been left behind by my writer, fam, please return. I can't tell you how many times this has saved me, because this notebook is basically my life at this point. So if I lose this, I lose a lot of my ideas, a lot of my inspiration, a lot of things that I want. So I have left it behind in a classroom, got a text from somebody saying, hey, you left this behind. I noticed your number was in it. You might want to come pick it up, which was a lifesaver. So I was able to recover my notebook, which is awesome. Also, if you have an address and you're comfortable putting it in there, if you end up leaving it somewhere, like let's say you go on vacation or whatever, they can mail it to you because they have your address, which is super awesome. I can't tell you how important this step is. Please, please, please do it, especially if your writing is important to you like it is to me. All right, this one is the fun one. This is like reasons why you write. I have written over 101, and every time I ask people why you write, there's always a new reason to add to the list. So this one's just super fun. It keeps you motivated, and these are my top 10 reasons why I write. I'll share some of them with you. One of them is like so I can punch writer's block in the face. Number 5 is no one will write like I can write, and if I don't write it, someone else will, and they'll do it wrong. Like you ever read a book and you're like, oh, this is like the book I wrote, but they did it wrong. Yeah. Because killing people in real life is illegal. I love words and they love me back, but only sometimes. It keeps me sane. Well, mostly sane. You know how that goes. Have you ever had like a stack of things that you've written, or an entire book which you've written? That's very satisfying. So that's another reason why I have that. Let's see. If oh, this one's fun. If I make mistakes, I can always go back and fix it later, unless I write it in pen. And I spelled mistakes wrong on purpose. Also just the sound of like pen to paper or typing, the sound of writing is very satisfying to me. There's so many, so if you'd like, drop in the comments some of your favorite reasons why you write. And yeah, I hope you share with me because this is such a fun step in the process, so please do it. So step 5 is rules, and honestly, rules are more like guidelines. We're going Pirates of the Caribbean here. They're not really so much as rules as, you know, general things to follow. They're meant to be broken sometimes, and that's okay. I try to write every day. I never tear out pages, even if I want to. I have an entire page where my nephew got into my book, and he just scribbled. And so on one side, I added this cool paper thingy, and on the other side, it's just the scribbles. So yeah, another one is like I messed up, but you know what? It's fine. I just left it in there, and it's kind of fun to go look back because don't worry about keeping things neat. It's kind of funner when it's messy. So just enjoy yourself. Let your notebook be a reflection of your mind because nothing's organized, and especially if you're a writer, you have a million things going on up there. The last thing is to include a notebook buddy. Now, if you don't know what a notebook buddy is, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little doodle that kind of follows you everywhere in your notebook. His name is Pogo, and he has a crush on Lemon. So this is what Pogo looks like. It's basically this little puffball, this green little puffball dude, and Lemon is a yellow version of him. And I have just everywhere. He's all over my notebook. So that's my notebook buddy. That's what that is. I know a friend, and I introduced this concept to her, and now she has a notebook buddy that's just a little dinosaur. So something easy. It takes a couple seconds to draw, and it can be all over your page while you're writing, because why not doodle while you write? Step 6 is to add room for fill pages. Fill pages are blank pages at the top of the page. You'll have a header, and you just leave them blank until you need to come back to them. These are just examples of my fill pages. Feel free to pause if you'd like to read it. Let me flip into mine. You can hear the pages. Okay, so one of them is vocabulary or my word bank or random stuff, overheard conversations, names. So anytime I think of one of these things or hear one of these things, I go ahead, I flip to that page at the front, and I write it down. And since they're in the front, they're easy to find, so you don't have to like flip through your notebook to be like, oh, where did I put that page with all the names on it? Where's that page with like recommendations of really cool books that somebody gave me? I always put those in the front. They're right there. You don't have to do all these fill pages. Just pick a couple you like, put them in there. I do this. I have a lot of them. So yeah, that's how you do the fill pages. Super easy. Just put in an idea, a subject, and leave it blank for later. So this is kind of the no-duh step of the process. Number your pages. Sometimes they'll be numbered, sometimes they won't. It all depends on what kind of journal you get. You don't really, if you're like me, like don't really care if there's numbers on it, then just leave it blank. But other than that, go ahead and put numbers on it. This is just really obvious, so yeah. We'll just move on. So this is my last step in the process, is to write, try to fill out your entire book, and when you got your entire book filled out, you get to start a new notebook, and that's very satisfying. This is actually my second one. I'm almost done with it. I got about maybe 20 pages left, and then I will be starting my third notebook. On the next slide of this presentation YouTube video, I'll give you some new advice on what to put into your notebook. So let's go. So when I first started a notebook, I did not know what to put in it. I did not know what to do. I just started doing random stuff until I found what works for me. So just some advice, carry it with you wherever you go. If you don't have it with you, because sometimes I don't have it with me, sometimes I'm at school or at work or I left it in my car, I'll write it down on a scratch piece of paper or sticky note, and I'll just set it in my notebook later when I get back to it. Also think about your classes. So I know some classes can be boring, but if you hear something interesting or something that like triggers your thought, go ahead and write that in your story. It doesn't even have to make sense to anybody but you. Again, don't worry about keeping things pretty. Everything can be messy, and not all your thoughts have to be coherent. incoherent. So if you think something and you're like, I like the way that sounds or the way that feels, but it doesn't make sense, put it in there. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody. It doesn't even have to make sense to yourself. As long as it feels right, that's what's important. Also use a lot of different colors. Put in stickers, put in washi tape, put in doodles. Just do whatever you want. This is your book. So make it yours. So this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. There's a picture of Pogo, which is super nice because I'm pretty sure you couldn't see it in this little box area that I have very well. And yeah, so put in a notebook buddy, put in stickers, doodles, quotes, dreams. Like if you have a random dream and you wake up and your notebook's by your bedside, you write it in and you're like, soggy socks. The what? I have no idea what that meant, but okay. Just random ideas that come through your through your head. If you're sitting somewhere, write down a description of the things that you're seeing, the atmosphere, the people, the places. I did this for a week every time I was taking the bus before COVID. So I have an entire page just filled with things that I've seen on the bus. So do that. Maybe it's in a classroom. Maybe it's a specific class. Maybe it's you're sitting outside people watching. Just write down whatever you see and whatever is going on around you. Write down your own feelings and emotions, or maybe if you see somebody, you're people watching, you see somebody, try to write down what you think they're feeling, what they're thinking. Stray phrases that you hear or overheard conversations are always so much fun. Like, you ever just be listening in on a conversation and you're just like, what the hell? I want to know this story, and now I'm invested in this conversation that I'm not inherently a part of. Write those down because those are some of the funnest things. Especially things kids say. Kids say the craziest things and it's amazing. So write them down. Write down some of the mistakes you've made. Idioms, things that kind of pop in your head, like just scenes from a book or little plot points that come up. And honestly, just put anything you want in there. It's your book. Make it your own. Make it a safe place for you. So yeah,